Thank you, Administrator McCarthy, for appearing before us today. The work that you do to protect the health of our constituents is very important and very much appreciated. I want to briefly mention the EPA's work on the Portland Harbor Superfund site, an issue that's been important for years in the district I represent and in the region, but one where I think we could all agree the work has not progressed as expeditiously as it should. And when I met with you in April of this year to discuss the issue, you had yet to be confirmed as administrator, but we still had a very productive conversation, and I want to say encouraging conversation about increased cooperation between the EPA headquarters, the Oregon congressional delegation, and you also expressed an interest in improving the relationship between the EPA Region 10 and our local stakeholders. And so far I've seen positive signs of that happening, and I wanted to say that I look forward to working with you and the EPA to, we hope, finally take care of that Superfund site in the Portland Harbor. So thank you for your work on that.
Thank you.
On the topic of EPA protecting public health, in your testimony you focus on how important it is that good science be used to determine when public health is in danger. After all, that's one of EPA's critical missions. And in the first hearing held by the Environment Subcommittee, in a hearing held by the Environment Subcommittee earlier this year, a look at the state of the environment, one witness, Richard Trusbeck, said that looking too closely at a problem could sort of overestimate the need for a solution. He said, when one puts anything under a microscope, one necessarily will find something ugly to gawk at. Well, when considering public health, it's hard to imagine that just because something is small or microscopic, it should not be evaluated to determine its impact on public health. Surely our constituents can be harmed by pollutants that they cannot see. So can you talk about the process that EPA goes through to determine when a problem is severe enough to address through Federal action? And then I do want to save time for another question.
We address the science in many different ways depending upon what we're actually focusing on and where authorities lie. EPA doesn't agree with a statement that says that we shouldn't be focused on both our mission as well as appropriately doing our job that Congress gave us. We look at both doing independent reviews of the science. We do that rigorously. We do it through something we call the IRIS process, which I mentioned earlier, which is really a health assessment that underpins many of the decisions that we do, that helps us understand what the science implications are, what the health implications are for people that are exposed to chemicals and other hazards in the environment. And it's extremely important for us to look at those issues. Then we look at what authorities Congress has given us, what responsibilities we have, and we address those responsibilities in the way in which Congress gave us to address those. That is how we make improvements in public health. That's how we've successfully done that for almost 3 years.
Thank you. In March of this year, the Environment Subcommittee had a hearing on EPA's science advisory boards, and since then the committee has passed legislation modifying the makeup of those boards. And throughout the process, some on this committee have asserted that industry voices are not represented and that academic interests dominate, and others of us acknowledge that the industry perspective should be heard, but we're concerned about making sure that we don't have conflicts of interest. So you discussed this a bit in your opening testimony, but will you please expand on how industry scientists might contribute to the science advisory boards while also avoiding conflicts of interest, and how do you, as administrator, ensure that the advice that you're receiving from those bodies are not tainted with policy-related judgments?
For the Science Advisory Board, we believe that EPA meets and exceeds our responsibilities under FACA, our legal requirements, and we're more transparent, and we look more closely so that we can make sure that we look at the Ethics in Government Act as well. The Science Advisory Board and our process for doing that is something that we're very proud of. When we do panels and we put them together, we publish our consideration of who the panel members should be. We ask for comments on that. We respond to that. We look at making sure that the panels we put together are well balanced and that they have all of the range of expertise we're looking for, as well as a variety of perspectives.
And can you please discuss the conflict of interest issue, because I want to make sure you get that in.
We actually look very closely at conflict of interest, which we look at both whether or not there are financial problems that are real or the appearance is there, and we make sure that we do a thorough analysis of both any investments, opportunities, or financial considerations. We've just recently established a new process where we're looking at that as well and more rigorously for external contractors as well. So we look at the issues, whether they're perceived or real. We do them publicly, transparently. We take comments every step of the way to ensure that our panel has the expertise as well as the credibility it needs to speak from a sound science and transparency perspective.
Thank you very much. I see my time has expired. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.